What's up, everyone? We've got another awesome episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. Another very special guest. Introduce yourself, please, bro.
Hello, I am Vlad, also known as Hypnocorn,
Wow,
from the YouTube channel.
Lovely.
Let's go.
It's definitely gonna be a very good show having you here, bro. And for those of you guys who may feel like he looks very familiar, this is one of the few legends to top with Infernoids. I mean, look, I don't know about you guys. But me personally, when I see something like that, I'm like, gosh, I gotta give props because I've tried to play Infernoids myself and I find that deck is mad hard. That deck is mad confusing, mad hard. So props to bringing that before, and I'm sure we're gonna see more in the future from you, bro. But yeah, I guess why don't you kick off with a bit of an intro into yourself, your channel and such? That would be nice to hear.
So I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for, I don't know, like 11 years, 12 years, 14. I don't know, man. It's been a while. I've always made YouTube videos. Even as a kid, I've had like multiple YouTube channels. Not so much for like Yu-Gi-Oh, but like other things. Like I had like a Lego channel before and
Oh wow,
whatever.
Yo, that's sick.
Yeah, like way back when, like 2006, 7, 8.
Oh,
And
damn.
I started making like Yu-Gi-Oh content in like, I don't know, like 2012. I was like really edgy, like teenager. Then I kind of stopped for a while just because like I school and like also not that much money to have like a good computer and stuff. Anyway, very relevant. I'm mostly just known for as the guy who edits for Farfa and MBT, and I top events here and there with like either tier limit or like, I don't know, some like awful deck I bring to an event and then just get lucky and top. So that's what I'm known for usually.
Dan, I feel like you're
Good
about to
stuff,
say
good
something,
stuff. No, I was just gonna ask. So, like, I didn't realize you'd actually been doing YouTube for so long. Like 2006. That's like sort of like the genesis days of YouTube, right?
I've
So,
always been into content creation ever since I was a kid.
so in terms of the landscape from content creation to way back how it started against like the sort of entity it's become today, like what was it like? Like what sort of seeing that firsthand, like from an actual creator? Like I know you said like some of the channels weren't overly serious, but it's still definitely something that you would have, you know, taken note of, right?
Yeah. It's definitely been a bit weird. I never like took YouTube that seriously. I think like maybe the first time I kind of like maybe took it seriously was when I made like my Lego channel. It wasn't really like a Lego channel. It was more like Bionicle. Which is like it's still Lego, but still. And I was pretty involved with like the Bionicle community at the time. I wouldn't say like, I did like a few collabs with other people, and that was kind of like the first time I made like internet friends. It was just kind of like a weird time, and I also learned how to like video edit. But it's fucking Windows Movie Maker, you know, like it wasn't anything crazy, but it was like a lot of effort to like make videos back then because the technology was like so primitive, right? Whereas now, like with the modern tools, it's like it's a piss take to make videos. And this is coming from someone who edits for a living. Like making videos now is way easier than it was back then. But also at the same time, the scale of videos is like increased drastically as well. Like back then, you could get away with like, sorry, I'm absolutely shot right now. You could get away with like the bare minimum. Like you can even call it editing. Whereas now, like you have to have the most insane like viewer retention, like ADHD brain videos of all time to keep people entertained. Or make a podcast and you can manipulate the YouTube algorithm with very long videos.
Exactly.
People that,
Exactly.
watch for a long time.
Yeah.
The few ways to play to the algorithm.
Cool. Exactly. I think for me, because like I wasn't creating YouTube at that time, but I've always been someone who's like pretty terminally online. So like I remember like YouTube, like in those times, and seeing a video with like 1,000 views, that was like insane.
Yeah.
But,
No, it was absolutely crazy back then to have like something with like 1,000 views.
Yeah, but nowadays it's like nothing. Like, and it's just insane. To see how far social media and like content creation has come. But in terms of your Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube journey, how would you say that kind of like got kickstarted?
so I made, as I said earlier, I made YouTube Yu-Gi-Oh videos like when I was like a teenager.
Mm.
And like I kind of stopped doing it because I lost interest at the time. And I also just like making a YouTube
Sorry, that was
making a
my bad.
Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube channel back then was like it was a thing like everybody kind of did. Like I was really inspired by people like Waffles, um,
Mm.
Galactic God, a lot of the old YouTubers like Agent Persuasion. Like he still uploads now, but like he was like one of the OGs. Same with like
Yeah.
Slim X Team Sentry. There's a lot of the people I like looked up to as a kid. Pretty like looked up to, but it was like in terms of like YouTube and stuff. So that's kind of like, you know, I watch a lot of YouTube and I would just be like, okay, I want to make my own Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube videos. And then for a while I stopped because it kind of just like lost interest in it for a while. And then I only really got back into it over, I want to say over COVID is when I started. Nah, it wouldn't have been over COVID. It would have been like just before COVID, maybe like a year before COVID, 2 years before COVID. I started making Yu-Gi-Oh videos again on like a new channel, which was like the Mad Scientist at the time, where I was also kind of working with my friend's YouTube channel Darren for when he was doing the World's Race. And he was like making YouTube videos about that. But yeah, no, like I would like work with him like a lot of the time for like his YouTube videos, and I basically managed his channel for like a while. And I don't know, I still don't really treat myself as like a content creator. I wouldn't like I make like the occasional video, but like, I'm not like a full-time content demon. I think like the first time I kind of got like more involved with like the modern content scene is like in like I want to say like 2016 with Farfetch'd Table 500s. Back when like we had the boys on Discord and we just like would do it that way. And then for reasons I can't mention, that eventually had to stop. Actually, no, I can mention. We all had a fight with Nadir. It was really funny. We all stopped being friends for a while because of some awful petty drama, absolute petty drama. It's really funny, but like also at the same time, like it was starting to like die off anyway because everybody has their own life. Not everybody can be on Discord at the same time at like 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And it was also like a really toxic environment. Like I'm not afraid to talk about it. In the sense that like there's multiple Discord calls where like it's unfortunate that Farfa doesn't have his VODs archived. I would love to go back to see some of the meltdowns we've had on stream, like over it, like we blow up on him like on stream.
Oh my god!
Like we'd be doing like a replay, and none of us are like none of us find it funny or anything. And then he'd be like, "What's wrong with you guys? Why aren't you be funny?" And then we're like, "We're making you content for free. Like fuck off." Like,
I think I have seen like maybe not to that degree, but I've definitely seen some like VODs of you guys just sort of. I never knew if it was real drama in it. I didn't know if it was like or just arguing and stuff like that. Just a bit of fun. Sure. Yeah.
But like basically what ended up happening was just like sometimes it'd be a bit too crowded because like we'd have a bit too many people on Discord. Everybody starts talking over each other.
Yeah.
But it was fun because like God, I can't even say fun anymore. Jesus, it was really fun because we'd have you'd have like a bunch of different types of people in the call, and you'd always have something fresh with the Table 500 videos because like it's kind of like a rotating cast because it wasn't the same people every single episode, and like the combinations of people work differently, so it's like a kind of different comedy every time. That was really fun. Like that was some like the most fun we had back then, just like shitting on people for like their awful decks. Or like sometimes it was like a funny deck. I remember like specifically there was like a Red Eyes Flare Metal deck. Or like you would just make like triple Flare Metal with like it was like Lynx first came out. They like do firewall loops and shit. It was really cool with like Black Metal Dragon, you loop that. It's really cool. But and there's also like the Dice Jar FTK, like there's a few of them. Yeah, that was like kind of like the start of like my YouTube career. Over COVID, everything exploded, obviously. And I didn't make as much content over COVID. Like I made the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's DS Let's Play series, I guess. And that was kind of like probably like my most popular thing I've made, I guess. That was like more like my stream content rather than like original YouTube video. You know?
Mm.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really that's a really interesting, surprising insight into how it was. One of the things that I think is different, especially with your content, I feel like we've seen it in some of the Yu-Gi-Oh creators, but we haven't necessarily with yours, and it's reflected in your editing as well. Is it feels like you followed, even though like I know you've mentioned how it's like you have to kind of make these very unpleasant to watch almost videos to have any chance with the YouTube algorithm nowadays. Like you have to make these very kind of you have to follow the main culture. But I would say one of the things I've actually noticed with your channels, like the one that comes to my head that I still can't believe you did, was like the Smash or Pass video you did.
Oh my god, that was the worst video of all time. Oh,
Is that the one that was like like so long?
3 hours, dude.
God. I'm still so tilted I did that.
I can't lie, I
But
found
like,
that was hilarious.
but like to be honest, like I'm pretty happy I did because like it was like just after Markiplier did his, or like I think like maybe Ludwig or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, fuck. I'm like one of the few people who'd be willing to smash or pass every single Yu-Gi-Oh monster in
Yeah.
a single stream. I don't even know why I did it. I think I maybe set it as like a sub goal or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I did. I did. I took some breaks during the stream,
Yeah.
but I did smash or pass every single Yu-Gi-Oh monster that was out at the time,
It really
including No
did.
Seed.
Yeah, it really was
Do you feel
an
like
interesting commitment.
Do you feel like when you did that video, like you knew it would? Well, obviously it was like on stream, but like when you made the decision
Yeah.
to put it as a video, did you feel like that would bang on the algorithm, or was it
No,
just a fucking?
I only
Really?
did it because for like the bit, and I didn't do that well. Like it has like
Yeah.
maybe a couple thousand views. I actually am not sure how much it has, but
Hmm.
I think I've
like
just
I
seen-
don't really care. Like I don't. For
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
my outlook on making videos is like completely changed.
Mm.
For a while, it used to be like this kind of toxic mentality where it's like I need to make money,
Mhm, mhm.
and now I'm just like, well, I only make YouTube videos because I enjoy making YouTube videos, and if like I only upload videos now just because I'm like, oh, I wanted to make something cool, you know. Like I don't give a fuck. I don't really give a shit about like if it does well or not. I'm making it for me. The only reason why I'm uploading is because sometimes people enjoy it,
Mhm.
and I just get to share it with people. I don't really care if like it gets like a million views or like 10 views. For me, it's just like the uploading part is the reason why I do it.
Mm, mm.
Which might be a little like hypocritical because at the same time, like I think my most recent YouTube video is like a box opening from like My Hero Academy or something.
Yeah.
But I'm never saying no to opening free booster packs. Like you gotta I'm a magpie. I see shiny object I need. You know, I need to open. I need that
Yeah.
serotonin, the 5-hydroxytryptamine, if you will.
I understand. I understand.
So yeah. But yeah, no, I just really like I just like making cool stuff. And that's kind of what my entire kind of content creation thing is now. Like if you look at my Twitter, I just like post memes all the time or like
Mm.
I don't know. Like most of the time the memes I post are stupid, but it's just like a thought in the moment. I'm like, okay, I need to put this thought into, you know, a creation, if you will.
Mm.
It's like my art, I guess like my way of like being an artist,
Expression.
kind of cringe, but like it kind of is being an artist in a sense where like you kind of have an idea and you make it into reality. It's like kind of like painting a picture, you know. That's kind of what making YouTube videos is for me. Which is like a really weird like analogy to make because it's like Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube content and we're talking like I'm talking about like making into fucking art, but like for me I just like making cool stuff and that's like my what's the word, my way of expressing it, I guess. The what's the canvas, no, it's the medium, there we go, it's the medium in which I express my, I don't know, whatever creative thing I have.
And to be
Urge.
fair, I feel like that's a really it's a very noble. I don't like the word noble because it sounds like I'm taking the piss, but I'm not. But it is a noble way of looking at it That yeah, you're kind of doing it for you, and it's really just the way you express yourself. Because genuinely speaking, a lot of the content that is online right now, most of the time, that's not people are doing it. Like you said, it's just for the algorithm. I do that. I do stuff. I do stuff for the algorithm. I do it as well. But it's like,
and you can't knock them for it. Like sometimes you just got to play the game. Like if you're in the game, you got to play the game. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And like it kind of sucks sometimes because sometimes you're not making like something that you're proud of. You have to make something that pleases the algorithm rather than something that's you're personally proud of.
Yeah, I would still be a Dark Lord YouTube channel if it wasn't for the fact that no one in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh cares about Dark Lords at all. So that's why I stopped making Dark Lord content, because there was like 30 people.
Is that how your channel started?
No, funnily enough, my channel started with Borderlands.
Okay.
So if you look, my first, I don't know if I've privated or not, but my first videos was a Borderlands playthrough, and then I went into Dark Lords because it was my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I really suffered and struggled with Dark Lords for like half a year. No one cared, and then I remember like my first like profile that popped off was a Dark Magician profile, of course, obviously because it's Dark Magician in it. And then I noticed that whenever I would do meta videos as well, they would pop off because I didn't used to play meta at all. But then after a while, I was like, I can't ignore this. Like, I'll do like a Muskets profile and it would get like 30 views. And then I'll do like a Sky Strike profile and it would get like triple that. I was like, well, okay.
It works, right?
Yeah, I mean, and now for the most part, I don't do deck profiles unless it's something meta. Because, yeah, for me, it's, yeah, like I said, for me, I'm very into that kind of just play the game. But that's why I think it's very cool that Vlad, that it's like inspired that you can just be like, no, I'm going to do what I want to do because, you know. Yeah.
Like it'd be easy to just like make a tier list for the 4,000th time, or to hold the camera in front of someone and then ask them, hey, what deck did you play? Show me each card one by one so I can make 8 minutes video out of it, rather than like, you know, a lot of like it's really weird because I feel like deck profiles don't exist in any other card game except for Yu-Gi-Oh, where I think like, well, actually no, there's a lot more card games now, but the way how deck profiles are constructed, like kind of conveyed, was a very Yu-Gi-Oh thing, because for a while people would just like have the entire deck laid out like for like Magic the Gathering or something, and like most of the time people wouldn't video that shit because like why would you, right? Like most of the time people just want to see the deck list and then fuck off, you know. Whereas with Yu-Gi-Oh players, the Yu-Gi-Oh content creators were really smart, and they found a way to get 10 minutes out of deck lists by making people go, well, we'll play 3 of this card and then 3 of this card and then 3 of this card, as opposed to just like, here is my entire deck, I'm taking a picture of it, and there you go. Yeah. Like then like you get the information instantly, but you can just stretch that out if it's a Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile. That's kind of like how a lot of card games followed suit.
Yeah. To be fair, I can't remember who it was, but someone did a really funny variant of that deck profile. He went to the gym and did the deck profile, so he would like say cards.
Oh yeah, Walter Jewell. Oh, yeah. Absolutely amazing. I think like DB Grinder and John Wilkin had a profile from like from Philly, and they both did the profile at the exact same time, and they're just talking over each other. It is hilarious. They get to like Dimension Shifter, and like if you listen closely, DB Grinder's like, Dimension Shifter is a 1200 attack. It's like really good. Like, and if you're like not paying attention, like you just don't hear it. But if you pay attention to saying it, it's like the best comedy of all time. Like literally the funniest profile I've ever seen. Like I couldn't get through like 30 seconds because like autism brain, like I just hurt my head like listening to it. But like give it a listen like for like a couple of seconds, and like I assure you'll have a good laugh. But yeah, like modern deck profiles, people are getting better. People are getting funnier and creative with their deck profiles. Try and enjoy, because deck profiles, oh my god, like I don't like want to throw shade at anybody, but like there are so many channels that all they do is go to regionals or whatever the fuck, and they stick a camera in front of someone and they do deck profiles. And I'm not hating on them. You got to play the game. But my God, is it the most uncreative, effortless content? But like, you still got to put in the graft. Obviously, you have to grind to get those profiles. But oh my God, it's something that anybody can do with a camera. Yeah. Like I'm not sugarcoating it. Like it's just, you don't need to edit that kind of video. You're stick a camera in front of someone, and make a thumbnail, and you upload it. You know.
And to be fair, I can't remember what I think it was Paul from TA Made PS. He made a really good comment on it. He was like, if you just do deck profiles, it's not enough for your channel to even explode.
No, like it's just not great.
Yeah.
Like you might as well just not be uploading YouTube,
Like,
YouTubers, you know.
Sell cards for lower prices.
Again, like genuinely for me personally, like the only deck profiles I do. So for example, I just did one, and the only deck profiles I do is like when one of my mates tops something. Other than that, I don't really waste my time because no one cares.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I don't hate deck profiles. I watch deck profiles all the time. But like, it is like,
even like how you watch it. You
I don't know.
I
think deck profiles are like a few and far between thing where it's just like, yeah, sure, like doing it for coverage is like good, but would be much preferred if there was just like somewhere that just posted all the deck lists for regionals and stuff. Like if like it would just be public instead of people having to YouTube like upload the deck profiles to YouTube. Like it's just like a much easier way of doing it. Like imagine that like for every single event, Konami actually did just post the deck list of all the top 32 players. It'd be way more way easier. But like they don't do it for every event. It's really annoying.
Strange.
Like they did it for a few events I know. I think it was like maybe Minneapolis or Pasadena in like America. They did post every single deck list of top 32. And it's like, cool. I don't have to go through Bortle, like 32 team Bortle videos to find out what people were playing in Top Cut. Like, Jesus Christ, why are we so behind in terms of like finding deck lists? Like, I don't want to watch 32 8-minute long deck profiles, or like when a guy does like a 40-minute Pearly deck profile. Deck's not that interesting, bro. You can do that in 2 by 40. My God, I'm losing my voice talking about it. Oh my God. Like
this. Sorry to cut you off of that. This does actually bring me onto a question I did want to ask you, because I'm not sure if you were the person who sort of pioneered this, but I believe it was a Brave Despia list. You did it in a YouTube short, and I thought that was so innovative, because it was literally, like you said, it was just like a lot of people know what this deck does. Here's the list, a very sort of like bread and butter combo at the end, like in enough information to put on a TikTok. I think that's like a super innovative way of doing a deck profile, because while some people may look at it as like, oh, it's doing it as a bit of a meme, but actually like all the core information is there. There's even a combo like as the dessert, if you will. Like, how did you even like come up with that idea? Like,
it's not that hard. Like it kind of seemed like a no-brainer to me, because media is kind of starting to go towards more short form content, and I was really into Despia at the time. Like I was so hyped for that structure deck to come out. And I got a hand on 3 of the structure decks really early, because the store near me just was randomly selling them like hella early. Or not that early, but it was like maybe like 2 days before release or something. I just
early enough to matter, innit?
Yeah. And I was like, oh cool, I can just like make a YouTube video with these. And I'm like, wait, I'll do one better. I'll try and make a YouTube short out of it. Because like I said before, I hate deck profile. I hate making deck profiles personally. Like I said, like I think it's just like a very lazy like content. But I think it's like, if you yourself are the one making the deck profile and you're putting in like legitimate reasoning as to why you're playing X card, Y card, why are you playing 2 copies of whatever Z card, like I think like if it's an informative enough deck profile, I think it's like passable, but a lot of that information doesn't have to be in a YouTube video. You can make an article. You don't need to make a deck profile out of it. But a lot of people just like, if you just make a YouTube video out of it, more money. So makes sense. There's also like no like website where you can post articles. Like you can post like 20 words on Twitter and then you run out of space.
Yeah.
But like back to the Despia thing. Sorry for the tangent.
No, it's all good.
I don't know. I don't. Like I said, sometimes I just come up with an idea and I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. I'll just make a really, really fast deck profile. It might as well have just been a photo, like a picture of the deck list. But I thought it would be really funny to just say the words 33333 and then speeding through the deck profile. And then I can't explain how hard it was to edit that video because I think that video sets at like exactly 1 minute, and YouTube doesn't allow you to make shorts over a minute. Whereas with TikTok, I think you can upload like 5-minute videos to TikTok now. Isn't that crazy, by the way?
Yeah,
Like
it's
absolutely mental. I think it started off as like 30 seconds on TikTok. Now you can upload 5 minutes. YouTube Shorts are still way behind. You can only upload like a minute. Awful. But yeah, no, I just thought about it and I was like, oh, this will be funny. I'm pretty sure I got it from something else as well. I don't think it was like an original idea at all. Because I feel like I watched something, I think, that was like kind of similar to it, and I was like, oh, let's make this but Yu-Gi-Oh. But maybe it wasn't an idea. Maybe it was original. I don't know. I don't know how I came up with the idea. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm pretty sure I got it from someone else. I'm not gonna take credit for it.
Fair enough. Yeah. That's like super interesting, man, to hear like your takes on like YouTube and like content creation. I think I feel like it's such an organic way of looking at it. Just the fact that if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it. And I think that this is something that Crush Cards was saying. Like, one of the reasons you have to make content is because you love it. And I don't know. I really like the outlook on that. But in terms of your other avenues, because for those who don't know, Vlad is an editor for MBT and Farfa. Runs the MBT and Friends channel. How did you get into the editing game? Like, was it sort of like a natural progression?
It's so funny how it happened. So for a while, I was the video editor for Duelist Academy, which is like a Patreon that kind of like stopped now.
Yeah.
But it was basically like myself, Jesse Cotton, Jeff Jones, Max Reynolds, Bowden, Ryan Levine, Calvin DeHaan. No, not Calvin DeHaan.
Dominic Couch is on that, right?
I'm gonna feel so bad if I forget anyone. Raph. I already said Furman, I think.
Isala?
Sure
Was Isala?
Isala. Oh, I almost forgot about Isala, the motherfucker. Oh, you won't forget about me. But yeah, no, it's all the boys, basically. And we had this Patreon before Metafy was a thing, where we would coach people. But then we were also uploading content to the Patreon as well. And I just edited all the content on the Patreon. Edit is like a strong word. I would basically just make sure it's uploadable. You know, I'll take out like ums and ahs, and I would make sure the video starts and ends when it's meant to, and then voila, right? It wasn't really that much of editing. But that's kind of how I started kind of getting into editing. And what ended up happening was this was over COVID, and I started streaming, and I think I just moved to the house I'm living in now, and this was the era where Farfa wasn't uploading that much. You'd upload like a video every 6 months or something. It was bad. And it was like he didn't do any stream content. He did like a few stream highlights here and there, but he didn't have like an editor editing for him. I think he had like maybe Gabe Vargas editing for him, but like the odd meme compilation like here and there, like not that like frequent. He didn't have like a full-time guy. And what ended up happening was I had a second channel that I posted clips from my channel daily. And for a while I was just like, and I already have editor perms for Farfa's Twitch channel just because his friend. Like I have his permissions for like everything. He just lets me have everything. And I basically one day I was like, yo, do you mind if I just start highlighting random bits from your YouTube channel and just uploading it and like editing it? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. You can take all the money from him. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I just started uploading highlights, edited highlights that I made onto the Hypnocore Daily channel, which is now the Farfa and Friends and then MBT and Friends channel. And I started posting segments there and like also clips and stuff. And eventually I started posting the prog reacts because that was kind of the premiere like movie night, like Monday evening. You would sit there with Farfa, refresh the YouTube channel, like at 500 subscription page, sorry, and then boom, the SEMO video comes out at 6 p.m. Like 5 million bajillion quadrillion shitrillion people watching, watching Gage get his fucking ass fucked for like the 20th episode in a row. And it was like the best like moment of the week. And I was like, damn, this is really popular on Twitch. Why don't I upload this to YouTube? And then that started the infinite money glitch, which I'm still profiting off of today. Thank you, Stemo, for paying my rent and other things. But yeah, no. After that point onward, Farfa was just like, "Yo, I feel weird calling him Farfa. Nadir was just like, "Yo, just edit for me, and I'll pay you." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then that's how it kind of started. I kind of just like stole his content, and then he just gave me a job. And like, it was like so gross. It's like thinking back on it now, how much he paid me per video was like, I would never, ever take that much money for a video edit. Like, I would rather spit on them if they ever like ask me for that much amount of money. But like, I was the person who set that rate. Yeah. Like, I just feel so fucking dumb. My God, to be fair, like my rate now is still pretty low. But I thought it was outrageously low. I set the bar way too low on that one. But yeah, that's kind of how I started video editing.
That is a funny as fuck story.
Yeah, I basically just kind of finessed my way into a job. It was pretty epic.
I love it.
And I got to still upload his prog react. It was so epic.
Oh my gosh. So in terms of what would you say you enjoy more at this stage? Is it kind of the editing process itself for other people, or is it kind of just being able to be creative for yourself? What would you say you enjoy more?
I mean, like, video editing for other people is still a job at the end of the day for me. Mm-hmm. There's definitely some videos where I enjoy editing, and then definitely some videos which I'd rather gouge my eyes out than edit, but it's money, so I do it anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I would just say editing for myself. I think that's kind of like a no-brainer answer. Because whenever I'm making a YouTube video for me, it's because I have the idea in my head, and then I find that really fun.
Yeah.
Whereas with like editing for other people, it's not as like liberating creatively, if that makes any sense. Where it's just like I'm kind of given footage that I have no like part in, and I'm kind of just like sculpting it into like a finished product, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of like editing a video for someone else is like you have clay in front of you and you make something with the clay. Whereas with editing a video for yourself is you make the clay yourself and then you sculpt something with it, right? So it's like one process is kind of like, you know, you have this clay in front of you that you didn't make, and you can't really control the properties of the clay, but you can form the clay into something else. Okay, this is a really weird analogy. I don't know what I'm smoking, but you get me, all right? Like,
I understand.
That deep, but like, yeah, no, I enjoy making like my videos more because it's something that like I have a personal investment in. Whereas with I think for other people, I have like, you know, like the people are funny, but like, you know, like I've nothing. But like there's a lot of videos that I've edited for other people I have like a really like a fun time editing. So it's like it goes both ways.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. So in terms of going off a little bit off the content creation, those that don't know, Vlad is also a highly accomplished Yu-Gi-Oh player. More tops than I imagine that we've had hot dinners. I believe you recently topped the Irish Nats. Congratulations on that.
Sure.
So, in terms of your competitive journey, talk us a little bit through that.
Okay, so I started going to Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments in like 2012, 2011. I played awful decks. I played like Lightsworn at I think my first local.
Wow.
Or maybe Blackwing or something stupid.
Yo.
Something silly. But yeah, no, I just like played for a couple of years, and eventually I started playing meta decks. I don't know how it happened. Like it kind of like Duelist Alliance came out, and I was kind of actually no, I like full Dragon Ruler, I guess, but like I didn't buy the Dragon Ruler deck. I had a pal who was banned from my locals Like the only locals we had, and he had full ruler, and he was like, "Whatever, here you go." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I had a full ruler deck, full ruler deck. I was still shit, so it doesn't matter. But that was like my first like kind of tiptoe into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. And I played in like my first Nats in like 2014, and like I ended top 32, I guess. It wasn't it wasn't cut to top 32. It was cut to top 8 or something, as most Irish Nats are. But top 32 got a mat, so that's all that mattered. It was like the Yamato national mat. And then I went to my first YCS that year as well. I taught my first regional that year as well. I taught the regional in 2014 of January with Girgia Karakuri. That deck I completely borrowed as well. Like I'm so thankful I had I made a lot of friends of locals that I could just borrow cards off of, and then that's how I was able to like afford like playing competitive. So then, I taught my first regional that year. I taught my first national that year, and then I went to YCS London that year. And my first YCS, I traveled with my friends. It's like my first time traveling out of the country without my mom, because like my only times going abroad before then would be going to Latvia for the summer to visit my grandparents with my mom and family and whatever. So it was my first trip like abroad ever, just on my own with like my friends. It was kind of cool. Then I topped that YCS. It was really funny. I went to my first YCS and topped it straight away. I beat 3-time YCS champion Peter Gross on the bubble the last round, which was very, very sick. He doesn't play anymore, unfortunately. But it was like one of the coolest moments like for me, because he had like beaten 2 of the Irish guys like prior. Like at that same YCS, like I think he like played one like in one of my pals in like round 3 and another one like round 7 or something. I played him like last round 10 on the bubble. We're both X2. And I flip Vanity's Emptiness, and he can't beat it because he's playing shit all. And I played my little shitty little Teller Knight deck. Attacked him a bunch of times. Outskilled, outplayed. And then I lost in top 2 to Unicorn. We don't talk about that. But that was kind of like how I started playing competitive.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
That's a route.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
No, go on.
Would you say that? So, as someone who's been playing for a while, then, do you think your skill has improved? Do you think your skill has gone down? Because one of the things that I've found personally is that almost every person who's kind of at least semi-competitive from before, it feels like they come back and then they're still just. It's almost like I have the same skill level or better. So how do you say you feel like for you? Do you feel like as you've been playing, it's like you're still on that same energy, or do you think maybe it's gone a bit down, maybe it's gone a bit up? How do you feel about it?
I think I've gone worse at Yu-Gi-Oh as years have gone by. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh now is a lot more. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know where I was going with that bit. I don't know. I don't feel like a lot of the skills pre-2017 Yu-Gi-Oh transfer to post-2017 Yu-Gi-Oh. I think links have just completely changed how the game works. But obviously, but like the kind of tempo of the game has completely changed. Like reading your opponent matters a lot less now than it did before. Because before, like when Yu-Gi-Oh used to be slow, there would be obviously a lot of back and forth. And the kind of core rule with like competitive Yu-Gi-Oh for like, and this is like kind of like a good thing to like keep track of basically, but is that everybody sucks. No one is good at Yu-Gi-Oh. All right, everybody is trash. Every single person. All right, I don't care if you're Jesse Khan, you're bad. Okay, that's nice. That's
going to be a great short for the YouTube algorithm.
But everybody sucks. Okay, I'm sorry. Most people are bad. Okay, obviously there are good Yu-Gi-Oh players, but most Yu-Gi-Oh players are bad, and that really shines how bad some people are when it's old Yu-Gi-Oh. Because in old Yu-Gi-Oh, there are so many turns, which means there are so many decision trees in every single turn. And with that many decision trees, they are bound to fuck up eventually.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to play Yu-Gi-Oh is let your opponent misplay as much as possible. That is how a lot of good players get do well so consistently. Because if you give your opponents enough opportunities to just misplay, they will. I have topped so many events that I don't think I should have, because my opponents just chose to Alt F4 the game. Like, they have made, like, I've seen some of the worst misplays of my life. Some of the absolute worst plays of all time. Like I'm not gonna personally attack people, but like, you'd be surprised as to how many people play perfectly. Like, you just need to play well enough that you just play like slightly better than your opponent, and it's like it gets you by sometimes. And that happens even in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, the only differences between now and before is that, like, in old Yu-Gi-Oh, everybody sucked because, like, there was no access to the internet. And if you were, like, even slightly good at Yu-Gi-Oh, you were miles ahead of everybody else. Because, like I said, that many decision trees and that much back and forth, they are gonna misplay so much that they're gonna put themselves a snowball and put themselves with Mount Everest. Whereas with modern Yu-Gi-Oh, I feel like there's a lot less room for that. There's still room for, like, your opponents to fuck up and stuff, obviously. But there's a lot of non-games in Yu-Gi-Oh nowadays. Now than there was back then. You can get by just going like Fossil Dawn at set 5. Okay, that's not possible. Fossil Dawn at set 4, and you can get away with that in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, it's just lame. You know, like, there's so many non-games in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, obviously that's an extreme example. That will never happen. But like even a Master Duel, people playing the anti-tier decks, it doesn't matter if you're Jesse Gunn. Sometimes they just open like Necro Valley plus Barry Statue plus like equips. It's like, oh, guess I lose. Like,
yeah.
100%. I don't know. I think that's like kind of the main difference between modern and old Yu-Gi-Oh is that, like, there's so many more non-games in modern Yu-Gi-Oh that's like weird. But like, there's definitely some skills from old Yu-Gi-Oh that do carry on over. Like, there is the odd time when reading your opponent matters. There is the odd time where, like, resource, like, knowing how to hold cards, like, keep a poker face, maybe even feign information to your opponent. And when I would say feign information, it's just like, you know, acting a certain way when you draw a card. Like, if you play GOAT, like, I'm sorry for this tangent, but like, your opponent draws return and they immediately check your graveyard, or they check their graveyard, you immediately know that they've drawn Prem, BLS, or Call of the Haunted every single time, or Moth if they're looking for spells. Like, you instantly know what the card they drew for turn is. 100%. But if this is like an insanely good player and they know this, they draw for turn, it's a Blade Knight, and they check their grave instantly, and then they just give you the wrong information. And that's the difference between like a really, really good player and like a good player. Like when you're like in those old formats, obviously, no, like, barely ever happened, obviously. But this is like such small like advantage gains you can get just by feigning information to your opponent. It was the same thing with like, you draw for turn and your opponent draws for turn. They check your graveyard instantly. They've drawn Monster Reborn every single time without fail. Like, there's not a single chance that they haven't drawn Monster Reborn. I can't tell you the amount of times I've done that at locals. I learned by watching people being like, draw for turn, okay, look at your grave. I'm like, okay, cool. Simon Face is going to Mind Crush Reborn. They're like, how did you know? Every time. It happened way too many times because people just suck, you know? Like, they draw for turn, oh, Reborn, oh, I wonder what's in my opponent's graveyard. Like clicking the, whatever. Sorry for the tangent, but yeah. There's definitely like some skills from old Yu-Gi-Oh that like come up now. Like Pot of Prosperity is probably the best test for old Yu-Gi-Oh players, because when your opponent activates Prosperity, you can know what their hand is just from what they pick off Prosperity a lot of the times. Because if they go Prosperity, Banish 6, they see Ash Blossom, Bell, and some other cards. And you can look at it and be like, why did they take this card? It's like, okay, well, if they took that card, that probably means, well, it's obviously more important than the other ones. But then it also means maybe they have some of these cards from Prosperity in their hand already. So you can make a read of like kind of sculpt what their hand already is. Which is like a really interesting thing to know. Obviously, every Prosperity banish is different. But like, you get so much information off of prosperity that a lot of people don't actually appreciate. You know, it's kind of like the hidden text of prosperity, which is like, oh, you know what your opponent's hand is now. Sometimes. Yeah. Tangent over.
I think no, and I think that's a really good point, especially because in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, one of the things you see often as well is like there is that notion of sometimes there is actually just the correct play. So it's like, yeah, it's like if you can assume your opponent is at least a certain level of competency, yeah, they're going to pick that card, and then it's like, oh well, he has to have this, otherwise he's just made a mistake. And then if he does make the incorrect play, it's also, and then you realize afterwards, it's like, well, okay, now my opponent's trash. It's like you said, they've misplayed now. I'm just going to run them over later instead. So no, I think that's a really, really good point, and I think it practically comes up all the time. Yeah, for sure. And kind of linked to that as well. One thing I'd say as well is, and it's a point that I was bringing up during tier format. I don't dispute that there is skill in a lot of modern decks, but I think that skill of having patience and playing over several turns, conserving your resources because not all of your cards are going to work turn one. Yeah, I think that's definitely a really big skill that isn't really as useful anymore. Like you just don't need it in Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of the times because the cards do so much for you. And I think it's like you said again, when you're talking about non-games, there are genuinely sometimes where it's like, I give an example, today I was playing Branded and it's like, I opened Branded Fusion Called By and it's like, well, it is very hard to mess that up after doing that like 3 rounds. I think I was playing Crossout as well, so it's like I would open Brandon Fusion Called By or Brandon Fusion Crossout in like every game. It's very hard for me to mess up at that point. At that stage, my opponent could be better than me, but it doesn't matter. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely get where you're coming from. I think this is part of the reason why I think a lot of, especially like more skilled players, they really sort of abhor like online simulators. Other than like really dueling book seems to be the sort of the exception to the rule. Because I think when you're playing online, like you can use it as like a good way of learning how a deck works, right? But like you say, Vlad, it's like that's one element of a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually learning the deck. There's a lot more psychologically that goes into this game that a lot of people do realize, and I think it's once you kind of make that connection and figure out like what certain reads may mean, like you say about the Monster Reborn, I think that's really what kind of separates like the good players from the great players, like to me personally anyway.
Yeah, it's a lot. What is a bit of a shame I'd say in Yu-Gi-Oh! As well is that we don't really have I mean that we have Twitch, but there's not a good avenue to really watch and analyze people's gameplay, like high level gameplay.
Yeah.
Like even Dueling, for example, I'd say it's mediocre at best. Like it'd be nice if there was just another way. Like I think of League, and it's like if you ever watch like Worlds or whatever, you'll have like quick shot, like all the casters, they'll do like these really in-depth analysis of plays. They'll be like, oh, why Wild Turtle did this and how it was such a good play, and they'll like break it. I mean, to be honest, I'm using League as an example, but like even on like Sports Center and stuff like that, they do the same thing. Where it's like, and we don't really have that in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it'll be really useful as a resource.
It really sucks that like obviously the commentators we have from YCSs and other tournaments they do a good job. However, the problem is that a lot of the commentators do not keep up with modern Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
A lot of them cannot pick up on the little things that players do to play around like whatever their opponent might have. A lot of commentators just get stumbled over like what's happening in the game. Like, don't get me wrong, love the European team, but Marcello and Alberto, I love them to bits. Very good commentators, but it's very clear to see that neither of them have played Yu-Gi-Oh! In a while. Alberto plays more often than Marcello does, but Marcello's just got his own thing going on. When Marcello was fresh on the block of commentating, like when he had just won Euros and stuff, like he was a very strong commentator because he was like he could he could pick up on all the little things. But Marcello doesn't really play Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. He can't really pick up on like a little thing. And it's like I think it's that is such a huge difference between being a commentator. Because if you aren't actively keeping up, it's a lot harder to like commentate like efficiently. Like they do a very good job at commentating, don't mind you. Like they still like brush up every so often, but a lot of the like deeper things they aren't as like connected to. But it also kind of sucks because we barely have any events. If we had a YCS every single week where like top like level players are performing, then yeah, we would need like more and more like competitive commentators, you know, and that's where I feel like the German cast do very well in, where Lampy is like literally he's playing Yu every single day, you know, and like mind you, I'm usually playing and do ICSs, so I don't get to watch the live streams, but I've heard that they've gone a lot better. I know that they like, okay, I actually can't say that. Never mind. I was about to say something I can't say because I'm not allowed to have that information. Yeah, no. So like they, fuck it, whatever. So they were put on like a trial run the first time they were the commentary team, and then they like swapped them out for like I think other commentators for a while. Also because of like COVID and stuff. Yeah. And I'm very happy they brought them back because they keep up. However, it is very funny when they say things in their little German accent. He is going for the bottle sword.
Yeah, no, the accents are hilarious. I've had the accents.
Yeah, they're very funny for like the wrong reasons, but they're funny. But yeah, no, like it kind of sucks that like we don't have any reason to have like very like kind of like esports level commentators because we have events so scarcely that like it's kind of like too much. Like don't get me started on the American team. Like the European coverage team, fantastic. You know, I can't say too much wrong about them except the fact that like you know the things I said otherwise. My God, sometimes they get like Jerome on the fucking commentary team. Bro makes the game. Bro doesn't know like there's a difference between like being a game developer and like being a competitive player, you know, like there's a reason why like the game devs of League don't fucking commentate League, you know, like yeah, they might know like a lot of intricacies, but they don't know intricacies when it's like PvP, you know, like that, like a completely different element.
And I would say, in addition to that, it's not even just knowing it; it's also being able to relay it in a way that's easy to understand.
Yes,
because I won't say the name, but very recently there was someone who was commentating. Was it YCS? No, it wasn't YCS.
It was an event of some sort.
It was an event. It's right, because I realized if I say the event, it'll make it very obvious.
Yeah,
but there was someone who was commentating an event, and this person is a great player. This person is really smart, but as they were talking, it's like I was tuned out because it's like some stumbling, standing over himself. He doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know what he's saying, and it's just like, let's be so.
Also, need to make it exciting for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's too many times where like the commentators just kind of get like a little monotonous.
Yeah.
Which is why I think the German team worked with so well, and like the European team in general, to be honest, because they're very animated.
One thing I will say is our commentators have it a lot harder. That again, it's like whenever I compare League of Legends esports to Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm always cognizant of the fact that I mean you can't even compare the budgets. It's such a difference. But having said that, one of the things that you notice in League is that other than a game which might go on an hour, after that it's back to the announcement desk and it's different people talking, and it's like it's switching out a lot. A lot of the times in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's got one team that are doing like 8 hours and they're doing the entirety of Swiss, and then one team doing the entirety of Top Cup. That's the most change I ever really see. Or it's just one team doing the whole thing. Like the last
they rotate the casters every round, but yeah.
Do they rotate the casters? Do they actually rotate the casters? Because for example, the one that we just did for Nats, I'm pretty sure it was Farfa and that.
I think Nats is different, but for YCSs they have a commentary. So it's like Nats, it's usually just 2 people.
Because I would say it's like doing that for a whole day is quite. Like I'd struggle to be that interesting for a whole day. So I feel like that holds them back as well. And again, that just goes back to organization and kind of how the thing is run. There is a particular guy. I can't remember what his name is. There's I don't know what his name is. He always wears a tie. He's a white dude. He always does the European YCSs and stuff, and he's really, really like charismatic, really awesome. Every time he's on, it's really, really interesting. I feel like they should get more of him. I don't know. If I remembered his name, I'd be able to shout him out properly, but I don't know.
Was that for this year?
Was he doing this year? I don't know actually. No, yeah, he was. Yeah, he was there this year.
Oh, it's probably T-Pain then.
T-Pain?
Tom Paine.
I was so confused when you said T-Pain. I was like, wait, what?
He's T-Pain to us.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe it's him there because I don't know his name off the top of my head, but yeah, he's always really, really interesting.
He's so lovely. He's the funniest guy ever. Whenever anyone makes a misplay, he just like roasts them in like the most like
respectful,
elegant way possible. Like
Yeah, and that's the kind of cast we need as well, where it's like they can crack a joke and they can have a bit of banter and stuff with the person on the desk. Yeah, that would be, one thing I will say for Konami, to Konami's credit though, and I was actually going to bring it up on something you said before in terms of things like deck profiles. Konami, if I compare Nats and how Nats was run, so if I look at all the events I've been to, Nats was probably the smoothest event I've been to ever, like by far. Like it was so
for this year, was it?
Yeah, UK Nats, and it's like if Nats has improved that much, it gives me hope that they can improve elsewhere. And if you go on Neuron now, actually, one of the things that they implemented relatively recently is their badges on Neuron. So if you play a deck and you win with a deck, you get badges. So there's people who with like Math Mech Master and stuff like that on Neuron. There's also capability to share decks on Neuron. So I'm hoping maybe Konami is looking into doing something like that, like having a repository for deck lists on Neuron, for example. Maybe that's something they'll do. We'll see, but it would be really awesome if they did that because, that would be such
It'd be really good if Neuron had a PC client or like a website where you could browse the Neuron deck on PC. Like it'd be really, really nice. Like not an app. Like I don't want to have to download something to look at Yu-Gi-Oh deck lists. Just have a website.
That's so obvious, to be honest. I don't know why they don't have a website for Neuron already.
Yeah.
Like you could use that website to look at, like you could log into it obviously with your Neuron ID. But you could also use it to register for tournament. Look at what tournaments are upcoming. Even register your deck list, I guess, if you wanted to. And I'm sure it's not that hard to implement that app into a browser. Just get rid of the fucking calculator function. It doesn't need to be there. I guess they already have that with the My Game Card Network website.
But that website
is so primitive. I'm not sure if anyone I log into it every so often. It's the most primitive thing ever.
Made in
Neuron, straight in my pocket. It would just be nice if there's like a better web client.
100%. Like, I'm not sure. I know it's more of a thing in America now, but especially with, like remote duel events and stuff, that just seems like a no-brainer to have Neuron because, like, on a computer, it would make it so much easier for stuff like that. But speaking of events, Vlad, I did want to ask. Obviously, you've had like a lot of competitive success. Are there any particular like accolades you've got that stand out? Maybe like an event top, even an event where you might not have necessarily done so well, but the event itself was like amazing for whatever reason, or just a particular deck you were playing at a time, or even like a favorite format of an event or something like that. Like any particular event memories?
No. I don't care about a single top I have. I'm not even like a little bit. Like I wish I wasn't like so, I don't know, like melancholic towards it.
Pathetic.
But like, dog, it is just Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Ain't hard. All right. Like, yeah, sure. I might have like more tops than like a lot of people would get in their lifetime. Whatever. Who cares? It like, oh yeah, cool. I got a fucking rubber mat for the 18th time. Whoa, cool. Like, whoa. Nah, but like, I don't know. I don't think there's any event that was just like, oh, cool. Like I'm proud of myself, Because most of the time, like I'm just beating people or pressing the A button, And then I lose in Top Cut because I'm pressing the A button, Like it goes both ways. Sometimes I just press the A button and just int. Like that happened like at Euros last year. I was so pissed. I lost to the Altergeist guy. I absolutely inted my game, I think. Maybe I didn't int. I don't know. I actually can't remember that much about that game. I try not to. But I don't know. I don't think there's any event in particular that like stands out for me. Like maybe Worlds in 2019. I didn't play in that event, but being there was really cool because I got to support my friends in the World Championship. I got to support Raph, Joshua, Wei, got to support Herman, my boy, got to support Cody, Angleboob. Who else was there? That was it. But yeah, all my boys were playing. Jesse. All the boys were there, and all the Americans came over to Berlin too, and it was just a lot of fun. Didn't play any Yu-Gi-Oh! That weekend. Really, really sick. I got to see like the world's like stage and everything. Got to that was really interesting. Being there for Worlds was really cool. Can't wait to do it again this year. But yeah, no, I think Worlds is probably like my favorite event I've been to. But the problem was that like for me, Yu-Gi-Oh isn't about anything other than just like seeing my friends every so often, you know. And Worlds was weird because like not all of my friends were there. So like it was kind of like a weird situation because like a lot of my friends were there, but not all of them, and it was kind of weird because it was like, yeah, sure, some of the friends were there, but like it's not like the entire like posse, you know. Whereas with like YCS events, kind of like the novel thing for me is that like people come up to us and be like, oh, can you, as a fan of your work or whatever, do you want to like sign my card? And I tell them no, they go away. I'm joking, but like I feel like that aspect's a lot like really nice because like you see a lot of people who you don't get to see all that often, and who don't get to see you all that often either. And I think that's kind of like the fun part for events for me because it just strokes my ego a little bit, being like, oh Vlad, can you talk with Infernoid once? Can you sign my card? And then they're like, oh, can you sign my rock collection, Vlad? And that like warms my heart a little bit, you know. Like I don't really think of myself as much of anything. Because at the end of the day, I'm just a dude. Like I'm not anything special. Jesse Kahn ain't anything special. He's just a dude too. I know him. Motherfucker only listens to music from the 70s. He's like 22. He doesn't know a single Kanye West song. Okay? I wish I was joking. He doesn't know a Taylor Swift. He doesn't know a Ed Sheeran, probably. Like, he's just a dude, you know? And like, I see people being like, oh, God, I'm so nervous to talk to Jesse. But he's just a dude, you know? We're all just dudes and girls. And, like, everything in between and outside. But, like, nice people. Like, nothing special about any of the pro Yu-Gi-Oh players. Or any of the, like, famous Yu-Gi-Oh players. I know Farfa. I know that he said mac and cheese was too spicy. Like I wish I was joking, but he said mac and cheese was too spicy. And I wish I had more context to give. But like, I know so many of these like Yu-Gi-Oh content creators and stuff, and like I'm always just flabbergasted. Like I let these like absolute like you know, nothing wrong with being a fan. Like I kind of get being nervous around like, oh my god. Like seeing like a guy you watch or whatever the fuck, like in person, but like they're just people, and that's kind of opened my eyes when like I see celebrities and stuff in the news with like paparazzi following them all the time. Holy fuck, I would off myself. That is just annoying and weird. They're just people, like you can leave them alone, you know. It's just really weird. Like, obviously, I am not the same level of celebrity as them, but like, it's just really weird. Like the kind of culture people have around celebrities and stuff, and kind of how people idolize them. Anyway, a tangent again. Apologies, but yeah, no, I just find the entire like thing a little bit weird. But like, you know, I get it, but like, there's people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and like my tops, nothing. I don't care. I don't care about any of my Yu-Gi-Oh tops. Like people can be like, "Oh my god, it's like so cool. You like did so well at this event." For me, if I didn't win, I don't give a fuck. All right, I have 12 tops. I have 0 for me. All right, unless I win an event, I don't give a fuck. Like second place, more like last place. Like don't care. Like
one of our friends just recently got second place, and I'm gonna send this to him and see how he feels. Right, on that wonderful note, we're going to go into our last topic, and we're not going to do Am I the Arsehole this week, we're going to do Would You Rather. So I'm going to posit a Would You Rather to you guys. It's going to be a dirty one. I feel like I've had 2 weeks of having innocent ones, so it's not even that dirty to be honest. It's just, would you rather never have sex or masturbate ever again, but get $1 billion, or just have $1 million? I don't know why I said dollars, pounds. I say pounds.
Yeah. So 1 billion pounds.
So would you rather get £1 billion, but you're never allowed to have sex or masturbate ever again, or get £1 million? This is easy for me. 1 million.
Can I get a dinner with Jay-Z instead?
See, for those of you guys who don't know, this was a recurring thing. Was it on Twitter? I can't remember.
It was on Twitter. Yeah.
A while
Like,
ago.
Take the $500,000 or a dinner with Jay-Z. Something
Bro,
like
I'm
that.
paying the $500,000.
It's like Jay-Z, you're not that interesting, bro. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
What do you think, guys? For me, it's easy. This is very simple.
nah, it's like definitely the millie, dog. Like, it's a basic human like desire.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold up. There's a very important thing to this. So if you can never have sex or masturbate ever again, do you still get the urges?
Oh,
Because
yeah,
if you
100%.
don't get the urges to do that, then I'll take the Billy.
No, you
Because
100%
I can
get
live
the
my life
urges.
without that shit if I don't get the urge. Because a lot of the time when you think about it, you only want to have sex or masturbate is because of the urge to want to masturbate.
Yeah, no, 100% get the urge. 100. Otherwise,
So-
yeah.
But if you still have the urge,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able. No one would be able to live. Like,
some
it
people.
doesn't matter how much money you get. It's like a fucking basic human need.
I feel like a lot of guys would be very sad to find out that their female partner probably would easily take the billion. That's all I'd say. A lot of
Yeah,
guys would be very
that's-
yeah. So I feel like
I don't give a
there's a lot of people who would be able to do that. Well, what about you, Dan? What are you on?
So, like with the no sex and that, like what's the deal with, like, say if you want to like have a kid, like what's the deal with
I
that?
guess
sex.
you're not having a kid. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you
Okay.
get. I
But
mean, you
I
got
suppose
£1
you
billion
got
pounds. You can do what's that thing called?
Artificial insemination.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is an easy. I think I'm just gonna take the milli. Like,
that's-
I'm not greedy in it. Like, I'm not materialistic. Like, what do I want with $1 billion? Like, even
yeah.
wipe my ass with it.
Genuinely,
I'm a magpie. $1 billion is a lot. Like,
Genuinely,
It is.
I don't think even if it was 0 or $1 billion and never have sex, I don't think I would take $1 billion to never have sex. I don't think I could live. Yeah.
No, I
It's
think I'll take a
depends
billy
on,
over like
like
just
if you
embrace that
don't have the urge to
stoicism
do
in it.
that, like I can comfortably live for $1 billion.
Again, but it's for me. Yeah, it's like you
But
have
you
to have
still
the
have
urge.
the urge to. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. There's no way. Like, I would rather take 0.
Yeah,
You know?
literally. I mean, just based on my life decisions, I've paid money to ensure that I'll have sex and masturbate a lot. Like,
Bruh.
yeah, I'd rather, like, yeah. Do you get me? Like, I used to spend all sorts to go on dates and stuff. So yeah, there's no way. I can imagine if I just that would be a horrible life. That would be a horrible life. I don't know.
Yeah.
But more power to you guys. If you've got strength to do that, more power to you.
You got me
Like,
thinking about it, man. You got me deep. in it.
There's no strength needed if I have no urge
I mean, to
to
be
have,
fair,
right?
there
Like,
was-
the asexual people exist.
Yeah, that's what
You know?
it's easy. There was a guy. Oh, I don't know what his name was. It's a slight tangent, but there's a guy called. Is it Roller? I don't know. He was talking about the 10 steps to success if you're in your 20s, and one of his tips is like get a vasectomy in your 20s, because then it's like the idea is that you get a vasectomy, you get really rich, and then in your 30s you reverse the vasectomy, and then that way you've kind of secured your
Yeah, but you're wasting money on the vasectomy, isn't it? Easy to just use that money to invest in shit.
I mean, and also just
Right.
don't ejaculate in every girl that you meet, and you'll be fine. I mean, there's also that. That's also a pretty easy solution.
Follow my 5-step, easy step guide, and you too can be a millionaire like me with all these dollars that I can't use because I'm not in the country that uses dollars.
Let's go.
Lovely. But with that, guys, we're gonna call it an end to this episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh Show. Thank you all so much for watching. Vlad, you've been an amazing guest. Have you got any shout outs you'd like to make?
No.
Love it.
Follow my Twitter. That's it.
Yeah, HypnoCorn. Follow it at the HypnoCorn, guys. We'll talk to you all soon. Peace.